Hey, what's up, people? It's your boy Veda, King V Lane. I've been asked several times, probably for a full year and a half, man, by several people to start doing, like a podcast or, the YouTube videos where I'm breaking down fights or analyzing from several people, and I appreciate all the people, who read my posts and check things out, have an appreciation for my soliloquies and whatnot. But I just always felt like for one, I don't really have time to do it, and also there's so many YouTube channels and so many things with people doing this. Oftentimes most of the time they don't even know what they're talking about. No disrespect, or I won't say they don't know what they're talking about, but they're speaking from a fan's perspective, and it's not always reasonable. So I didn't want to just jump in and be just another fish in the sea, but I say, you know what? I won't necessarily do prediction videos, but I will do like a genuine analysis and breakdown and provide certain breakdowns and soliloquies that I feel like aren't being heard, certain stuff that isn't being heard in the universe. I thought that I really don't even got time to do this right now, but I'm going to go ahead and do this for Kell Brook versus Errol Spence. I think this is the epitome of a 50-50 fight. It's a fight where is really, really, really challenging to pick a winner. And we're guessing. None of us really know who's going to win the fight. We're all guessing. It's truly a 50-50 fight. I do have a prediction, though. I do have a fighter who I believe is going to win. I didn't have that until today after I saw the weigh-in and it hit me. And I'm like, okay, this is who I believe is going to win. But I just want to go through a couple things with this fight for you all to listen to. For one, I want to say something about the American media, the independent media. For whatever reason, I won't say for whatever reason. I know what the reason is, as far as the American media being almost infatuated with Errol Spence, which is great because he's a brilliant fighter. He's a great young talent, and he's humble. He's likable. He has, he's handsome. He has the look, and this is set up to be a great story. Like, you going to England, and you beating a real champion too. Like, it's levels to champions. You feel me? And he would be beating a champion that's like really, really, really at the top. But it is kind of frustrating, and as a unbiased fan, I think that the independent American media isn't doing Errol Spence a favor by riding his coattails so hard and acting like everyone is scared of him. Errol Spence actually hasn't been ducked that much. The people who have actually ducked him don't even get criticized. David something Omarosa, I forget his name, God bless him. He ducked Errol Spence. Lamont Peterson ducked Errol Spence because matter of fact, I think they fought each other. As a matter of fact, but they ducked Errol Spence. Sean Porter didn't duck Errol Spence. Keith Thurman didn't duck Errol Spence, and Kell Brook was not ducking Errol Spence. Kell Brook was looking for fights that made him more money. He wanted to be in bigger fights, bigger event fights. Now, this fight is a big event, but him versus Amir Khan would have been bigger. Him versus Manny Pacquiao would have been bigger. Him versus Danny Garcia would have been bigger. Keith Thurman, Miguel Cotto, Canelo Alvarez, all of those fights would be bigger than this, and he wanted to be in the biggest event possible. And also, the names who I just said, none of those aren't walk in the park fights, so I think Kell Brook has been treated so unfairly throughout this entire ordeal, and because of that, although I'm American, it's really I almost want them to win just so that the independent American media can eat their words. It kind of reminds me of the Clippers and LeBron James. I'm a Laker fan, and I don't dislike the Clippers because of anything the Clippers did. I dislike the Clippers because of their fans, because as soon as they started winning a couple games, they started acting like they won a million games. And it's like, yo, sit down, chill, like, relax. Same thing with LeBron. As a Kobe fan, it's like, yo, like, just chill. It's like, if someone is great, let them be that great. But you're making them out to be even greater than they already is, and it's kind of irritating and frustrating. And I also want to notate that I have been an Errol Spence fan since he was in the Olympics. Remember, in 2012, in 2012, the Olympians, they weren't as known in the boxing world and as easily accessible in the boxing world as Clarissa Shields is, and Mike Conlon, Shakur Stevenson, etc. Because social media is even more far along today than it was 4 years ago. And my friend Brandon Cannon Adams, he fights at 154. At the time, Errol Spence was fighting at 54, and I remember, I went to one of Errol Spence's early fights, and I caught him like, "Yo, man, you probably gonna fight this dude one day," And he started checking out Errol Spence, and they still might fight one day. But I'm just saying this to say, I've been high on Errol Spence for a very long time, and it's just kind of disheartening that we as humans have kind of it seems like just because Floyd Mayweather said one day, "Yo, this dude's the truth," everybody just said he's the truth, because we not even complimenting Errol Spence for what he deserves to be complimented for. We're complimenting him because marketing has said to say it. But anyway, I digress. But I did think that was necessary to say, though. I thought it was important for that to be in the universe, But I want to say that again, this fight is a really, really good fight. Kell Brook, though, like Errol Spence is more flashy, although like he doesn't like dance and all that good stuff. It looks really good for the highlight reel. The way he fights, he puts a lot of on his punches. He punches. He his trainer is a really good trainer. He teaches you how to punch with like your body weight, and Errol Spence does that like with his jabs. He does that with even like the punches that don't appear to have a lot of in it, but because he puts his legs and his body weight in every single turn, you're going to feel all of his punches, and they're always placed really well. Kell Brook, he reminds me of like a Terrence Crawford in the sense of not that they fight the same, but that if you look at their highlights, if you look at them on video, you're not really going to see anything that makes you feel like, oh my God, this is the best fighter out there. You're not going to see that. However, they just keep beating people, and they just keep performing really well. Brook and Terrence Crawford. So Kell Brook reminds me of Terrence Crawford in that sense. I think that Kell Brook did really good against Gennady Golovkin. He lost most of the rounds, but the rounds that he lost, he didn't like get his butt beat. He didn't get embarrassed in the rounds that he lost. He stood up really well, and he was obviously fighting to win. Like, he never stopped trying to win. And that's another thing why it was pretty ridiculous that like he was scared of Errol Spence. It's like the dude fought Sean Porter and Gennady Golovkin. He's not ducking Errol Spence. If he would have vacated his title, he deserves that right. If he thinks he can't make 147 and perform appropriately, he deserves that right. You got to think, if he ducked Errol Spence, if he ducked anybody, he ducked Devin Alexander. But we can't say he ducked Devin Alexander because he fought Sean Porter. Like, who ducks Devin Alexander to fight Sean Porter? Nobody in the world. Okay, not a soul. So let's be clear on that. But anyway, I think that if you look at the way Kell Brook fought Gennady Golovkin, he won't fight Errol Spence that way. Errol Spence, boxed a little more. He fought on the inside because Triple G doesn't do well on the inside. So Kell Brook's game plan was to get on the inside and move. Get back on the inside and move. Get on the inside and move, because he knew that if he just moved the whole time, Triple G would cut the ring off. The way he fought Sean Porter, he didn't fight Sean Porter the same way. He had to fight fire with fire. So he would have to hit him with some fire and then tie him up. Hit him with some fire and tie him up, because he knew that Sean Porter was never going to stop coming. Sean Porter and Errol Spence, they don't fight the same way. They don't fight similar. However, at the same time, they do sort of fight similar in the sense of the fire never really stops, but they bring their fire in different ways. Sean Porter is like a bulldozer, and he'll run you over if you let him. Errol Spence is more methodic and very patient in his approach and how he decides to place his punches. Sean Porter doesn't take the time to place his punches well, which is probably why he lost to Keith Thurman and Sean Porter, because he lost to Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. he lost to Keith Thurman and Kell Brook because in both of those fights, Thurman and Brook they landed the flashier punches, the clearer punches. So Errol Spence, the fire never stops coming from him either. You know, he's just incredibly patient. He fights like a veteran, dude. He fights like, it kind of reminds me like a boxing version of Tim Duncan. Because Tim Duncan, since he was a rookie, just his game was just always poised, and it had this veteran feel to it. You know, that's how Errol Spence fights. But because Kell Brook did so well against Sean Porter, I do feel like I'm kind of inclined to lean towards Kell Brook if the weight is fine, because I think that, again, although they don't fight identical, Errol Spence and Sean Porter, I think they fight similar enough that regardless of Errol Spence being prepared for the clinching, you know, if Kell Brook is physically stronger than you, what you gonna do? Hope that the ref help you? What if the ref doesn't help you? Then what? You know, how many times have the referees helped an opponent of Vladimir Klitschko? Not very often. I think they helped him against Brian Jennings or somebody else recently, but that's it. You can't rely on that. And Errol Spence is, again, he fights like a veteran, so he's not expecting that. But you know, Kell Brook is strong enough to hold. He was strong enough to hold Gennady Golovkin, man. So he's strong enough to hold Errol Spence, even if you guys have been practicing that. And Errol Spence likes to fight on the inside. That's when he does his work. That's when he does his body work. And again, all of his punches, they're, I won't say they're perfect, but fundamentally they're perfect. And they come from his legs. So he does his best work on the inside. You know, that's why he's such an incredible body puncher. And I'm just not sure Kell Brook will allow him to get off. Even if he's hurt, he'll be able to clinch appropriately. You know, that's just my view. Also, Errol Spence, although he's taller, you know, he doesn't fight tall. You know, again, he fights on the inside. Tall people don't usually fight on the inside. And also, I'm sorry, I had a text message that kind of distracted me for a second. But also, not only does he fight on the inside, which is fighting small, he sits low. Like when he's walking in and backing up, he stays low. Another reason why I'm picking Kell Brook is because although Errol Spence fights like a veteran, he is fundamentally sound. He has really good movement. He has faster hands. Or I won't say he has faster hands than Kell Brook. I think it's probably about the same. But he has really good hands. He has really good strength. But he doesn't move his head. You know, I think that Kell Brook gets hit more than he should, because Kell Brook attempts to time his opponents, and sometimes he mistimes them, and he gets hit more than he should. And I don't think Errol Spence is a guy you want to get hit more than you should against. But you know, I think he has a good chin. I think he has strong legs, and I think he knows how to clinch. You know, so because of these reasons, I envision Kell Brook winning this fight. I think that if he does lose, it will be because of the weight. I think that we won't know how healthy Kell Brook is until we see the fight, until we watch the fight transpire, and then we'll know what's going on. Again, I think that Kell Brook, he moves his head. It doesn't look flashy, but he does move his head. He is defensively sound. However, he gets hit more than he should because he times his opponent's jabs. He times their hooks and all this good stuff. And sometimes he mistimes it. And even the people who he knocks out really quick, they oftentimes land at least one or two good shots. Whether it hurts them or not, you know, we don't know. But they usually land it. But Errol Spence doesn't move his head at all, man. And Kell Brook is a very sharp puncher. All right, and check this out. I want to say this before I wrap up this video. Floyd Mayweather is a grown man. He hits hard enough, but the reason he keeps people at bay isn't because he hits hard. Like, yo, Floyd hit harder than you think. It's not even that he hits harder than we think. He hits very sharp. He's a sharp puncher because he knows what he's doing. He's a very sharp puncher. Vladimir Klitschko, he's a heavyweight, so of course it's going to be more thudding, but he's a very sharp puncher. If you look at, the Charlos. I think they both knocked a couple people down with jabs before. It's not because their jab is just so strong. They have really, really, really great jabs. So because they're sharp punchers, you're liable to fall down, if somebody hits you clean enough. Because Floyd hits you where it's like, you know what? I felt that. And if I get hit with that again, it might really hurt next time. So people kind of stay off of Floyd a little bit. Because he's a sharp puncher. Kell Brook is a sharp puncher, but he's also very powerful. Usually people who are very powerful aren't sharp punchers, like where it's very sharp and crisp and fundamental. And Kell Brook is a very sharp puncher, and because Errol Spence doesn't move his head at all, like he doesn't move his head at all, it unless Kell Brook is really exhausted at the weight or something happens, them chocolate brownies, man. Them chocolate brownies is going to tag them. I don't think neither fighter is going to quit. I don't think either fighter is going to back down. But that's just what I believe. I do believe Kell Brook will win. I don't believe Errol Spence beats the best Kell Brook. I think he beats a Kell Brook who struggled making weight. But we'll see, man. We'll see. I picked Anthony Joshua to beat Vladimir Klitschko, and I thought I was wrong for a second. In rounds 5 and 6, I was like, oh man, he finna get knocked out. So we'll see. I'll be surprised if Kell Brook appears to look healthy and he still loses. But then again, that's how stars are born. When you show up and look great, and we can tell if we watch the fight, like, yo, Kell Brook look like that's all him. He looks like a man. He looks like himself. And he still lost. Like, we can tell that versus if it's the Sergio Martinez versus Miguel Cotto performance, we can tell. Or if it's a Tim Bradley, when Tim Bradley gets hurt against Manny Pacquiao. But then again, in that case, that's a bad example because in that case, everyone acts like Manny Pacquiao just performed really well as if we don't know he just got injured. We acknowledge every other fighter who gets injured. But if Tim Bradley get hurt against Manny Pacquiao, we act like it never happened. But nevertheless, that's for another video. So again, I think this is a really good fight. I think that whoever wins, they deserve credit. But I think we should be honest. I think that if Errol Spence, beats a healthy Kell Brook, man, it'll be great to watch. It'll be very exciting. If Kell Brook beats Errol Spence, it'll be very exciting. I think they're both walking into greatness. My suspicion is that they'll both look really good. And, although one fighter might have a L on their record, it won't be something to be ashamed of. And I think Errol Spence beats everybody in the division that's not named Kell Brook. I think him and Keith Thurman is a really good fight. But he probably beats Keith Thurman, unfortunately, for Keith Thurman. I like Keith Thurman. We got the same exact birthday, same year, same everything. But anyway, so this is my video. I thought it was necessary, and I also thought, seeing as this fight is so close, the hardest fight to pick and that I can remember. And yes, that's including Ward Kovalev, man. That's including whatever tough fight, Klitschko, Joshua, Porter, Thurman. This fight is so evenly matched. It's hard to pick. The reason I'm doing this video is this is no disrespect to the media and the independent media because, I watch you guys' videos. However, I felt it was necessary for fans to hear a video that I felt like didn't have any bias, man. And unfortunately, we're so biased and unreasonable in our analysis for this fight. I know the fight is only in a few hours because it's in UK time, so we'll see if I'm right. I'll actually miss it live. Look, I want y'all to understand this before I shut this video off. I don't remember ever being excited for anticipating the fight this much, and I'm going to miss it live because I'll be doing a Bible study at a convalescent home, and it's at the same time. So I'll be off of my phone. I won't look at nobody's text messages, tweets, Instagrams, or nothing. And I'm going to come home from that Bible study, and I'm going to watch the fight, and I'll be about an hour and a half late. And And I don't know, man. And again, this video wasn't meant to do a prediction. This video was meant to put something in the universe in regards to this fight that I felt was necessary. Hopefully, you guys enjoy. Please feel free to subscribe. I am a boxer. Well, I won't say I'm a boxer. I'm not.